I'm on mission to normalize miraculous results, not just some results, but miraculous results. Do you know that only 1.7% of women hit seven figures? No. I want to raise that. That's a ridiculous stat. When it comes to entrepreneurship, it's this idea of not feeling good enough. I'm not experienced enough. Oh, I'm not ready. Why not? Oh, well, because I've been an expert over here in corporate, but it'll take me some time in order to transition into entrepreneurship. Really?
So today we have a serial entrepreneur who is a business coach, and she helps women scale their businesses. And for all my male listeners, these tips, tools, and tricks and hacks will work for you too. So make sure you don't tune out. So without further ado, let me welcome Judy Weber.
Hello, Patty Ann. How are you? I am so excited to be here.
I am so excited. So Judy and I were just chatting a little bit before, and she's also a girl originally from the Northeast. She's a Philly girl. I'm hoping she's not an Eagles fan, but we won't go there.
I won't tell you, but I am.
I figured as much. Anyway, it's all fun. It's all for fun. None of it pays my bills, right? So Judy, what I'd like to start with is I would like you to share with me, just between you and me, nobody else.
Yeah.
Tell me something about you that most people don't know. They can't find it on your website. They can't Google your name. Like, what's something unique to you that most people don't know? Maybe you don't even want them to know, but in some way, probably some significant way, it defines who you are and how you got here.
Wow, so good.
I know, I'm tough.
Yeah, that's so good. I had something that went out of my brain. Hold on a second, and I'll bring it back. Okay. I don't have this anywhere, but I do talk about it sometimes. I was beat up by my first husband on our wedding night. Yikesers. That sure is a defining moment in one's life.
Okay, so you have to tell us more. Were you like an 18-year-old blushing bride? Like, what was with that?
He was my first boyfriend. We were together for 7 years.
So that means you lost your virginity to him.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Just get in the dirt.
And that is exactly why I thought I had to marry the guy, even though, I was going to college and he wasn't super smart, but,
Well, he was smart enough to marry you.
Yeah, well, and I was raised to, this is God's way. So you don't mess around. So I stayed with him, but after 6 months.
Hang on 1 second though. Did you see, were you totally surprised on your wedding night? Did you see any glimpses of this? Did you ignore it? Was there alcohol involved? You're a smart lady.
Yeah, well, I wasn't then at the age of 21 who I am now today at the age of 58. Okay. And when I think about that, it's like, how did I even allow that to be? But I think there may have been red flags, but when you're young, you don't see them. And right. I was going to college, as I said, and he was home, and his best friend had died in a car crash right around the time I went to college. So
now, did you go away to college or were you commuting?
Oh yeah, I went away for about 2 hours away. So my thing was, I kind of sort of thought that there was something going on, but he never did drugs around me, because it was drugs. If he would have done drugs around me, I would have said toodaloo, and that would have been it. But I didn't see it. But it's funny, quick story, how it came to be, how I came to end it was after about
How long were you married before you ended it?
6 months. Yeah.
6 months. Oh, good. You got out. Okay.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. And so a fatal car crash by a drunk driver in the middle of a day just kind of knocked sense into me when
you were in the other car. You were hit by the drunk driver.
Yeah, it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. No, my mom got a real brunt of it, but it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It was raining outside, and this guy was a mechanic, but he was coming down this hill drunk. He would have, his blood alcohol was very high. He was on his way to work as a mechanic, interestingly enough, but his windshield wipers weren't working. And he literally had like a rope tied to the windshield wipers so he's drunk. He's trying to work the windshield wipers.
Oh my gosh.
And he was just like fishtailing all over the road. So it was very scary. But there are lots of things happened. But at the bottom line is I was like, thank you, Lord, that I wasn't taken out in that.
You weren't badly hurt at all.
Well, the scar on my face, I always remember that. And my finger was almost cut off, but it's fine. And my poor mom, she was with me in the passenger seat. She got all her ribs broken. Her face literally smashed into the windshield. We didn't wear seatbelts back then.
That's right.
We had them in the car, but we didn't wear them. So
yeah.
So yeah, I will tell you that it came to a head when I was taking a shower and I was crying because I'm 21 years old. I'm crying and I'm wiping this gently, where my stitches are. And I was just crying. And he comes in, he tears open the shower curtain and he squeezes my face and says, shut up, you, can I say bitch? Shut up, you bitch. And he throws me back and I'm there landing like at the bottom of the shower and the water's falling on me. And in that moment, I said, no more, no more. And I walked.
So the car accident actually saved your life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So did you leave then? Like, I'm just curious. Like, how did you get out? Was it hard or no?
Well, you see, I'm blessed to have a wonderful family. So I had somewhere to go. But I'll tell you, I've always been a women's advocate. And so I really feel for women who don't have the family, who feel
it's hard. It's easy to say just leave, but it's hard.
Yes, it really is. And so I have a real heart for women in that situation. And I can't stand people when they put their judgment on it like that. Why couldn't she leave? Well, it's not that easy, especially when you have kids. And
well, thank God you weren't pregnant, right?
No children. It was an easy to leave type of thing.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. So you showed grit from the get-go, right?
That's how I'm made. God made me that way.
That's how you roll. So tell us about your business. Like, you and I are in the coaching space. I don't coach specifically women, but I do coach women and men. You coach both as well. There's so much noise out there. There's so much BS. It really annoys me, to tell you the truth. I get a little annoyed, right? I'm like, wait, you're a coach? You do what? Like, how? Anyway, not to be judgmental. I just find it curious that anybody can call himself a coach. So what have you done? What differentiates you from the pack? And do not be humble.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, I do want to correct something. I do only work with women.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Okay.
Yeah. So I only work with women, and it really goes back
most women, when they eat in their bios and you read about them, they do say they only work with women, but it reads that way. But then when I speak to them, they always correct me. So I stand corrected this time. Thank you.
Interesting. Yeah. So for me, my entrepreneurial journey started in 2003 when I launched my first business as an interior decorator without any formal experience or schooling. I just loved design and I was good at it. And I was HGTV trained, I always say. And so
that's a lot of information there, though.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a poor girl, right? There were 6 of us and dad was a factory worker. Mom stayed home. So this girl I get it done. I'm gritty, just very down to earth. And so I started there at interior design. But before then I was a lawyer. See, I'm poor. I'm a poor girl, but I always had big dreams, even as a little girl.
And you're a recovering attorney.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's so funny. When I graduated Villanova in 1995, which seems like
law school.
Villanova Law.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I graduated in 95 and it seems like yesterday, but gosh, that's a long time ago, isn't it? But then I got
almost 20 years, almost.
Got married, had babies, all of that. And then when I had my 3rd son, I left the practice of law. And that's when I started my first.
So you did practice though while you had your young family?
Yes, I did. And
what type of law did you practice? I'm just curious.
Yeah. In the earlier stages back then, I worked for a big law firm downtown, a couple of them over time. And I was a little bit of everything, but I'm a litigator. I'm in the courtroom.
Okay.
more recently, that was 2003. In 2010, I re-entered the practice of law full time. And there I specialized in medical malpractice defense. So I represented doctors for the most part. And I loved it. But you know what? When you're talking about what I say, your zhuzh, my something special, is that is when I learned how to take the complicated and make it simple as a medical malpractice defense attorney, because I had to make the medicine make sense for the jury.
For the jury. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what I do now with my business. I have 30 years of what I call real world experience, both in the courtroom, in the boardroom, because I was the director of HR. I was general counsel for a time. And so I have real world experience. Plus, right out of college, before I went to law school, I was a manager at Macy's. So I had retail experience. I had managerial experience. I've had sales experience. So no other coach out there. And like you, it kind of makes me crazy, these 20 somethings that you see them in their bikinis. What are you doing? Like, what do you think you know in the way of business? But that's why I have 30 years of real world experience. And you know what I do? In law school, it taught me how to think, how to think to win. And so that is my gift to my business, my clients, my ladies who are looking to
give us an example how you've done that.
Yeah.
Take us inside a coaching session, if you will.
Yeah. So I have a whole methodology. My joyful scaling method is like 3 scaling strategies. The first one is your breakthrough strategy. So that's when we look at your marketing, your selling, and your delivery. And we really get specific on who your best client is. I also embrace a sophisticatedly simple business model. That's a verbiage that I created because I love thinking at a sophisticated high level, but I also want to keep things simple, especially at this age. I don't want to do more than I have to. You know what I mean? And so when I think about that breakthrough strategy, I want to look at what you're doing in your marketing. Too many women are doing, and men really for that matter, doing too much. Where do you want to show up? How do you want to show up? And what about your best clients? Where are they?
There's so many platforms to market on, but they're not relevant to everybody's ideal client.
Oh, yeah. I will never be on TikTok, okay? Because my best client, I don't not only work with women, I work with Christian women. So my best client is not dancing on TikTok, and that's not where she's at. She's over on LinkedIn. She might be, hanging out on Facebook a little bit. Maybe some show up on Instagram. But that's just one example of like looking deep into what you're doing.
Judy, this is hysterical because my notification just came up, which I forgot to shut off, and it says TikTok. I have no idea what it is. But you said TikTok. I'm like, oh my gosh, I get the chills when that stuff like that happens, right? Or they're listening to us.
Yeah. And so just very briefly, I want to go through the other 3.
Yes, please. Yeah. But hang on one second. Let me just get a little bit more in depth, right?
Sure.
So everyone thinks they need to be everywhere. My experience has been, and I wonder if this is true for you, when you ask people, well, where does your client live? Many of them don't know. So how do you help them figure that out?
See, I'm very much a thinker. So I teach my clients, like, really? You think you don't know? You know more than you think you know. So a lot of times they don't know where they are, that best client, because they haven't clearly identified who that is.
Oh, so you have to back up more.
Okay. Right. They haven't had the guts. And let's be real. It does take courage. Like for me, I could work with all men and women, and then I could work with women. I work with Christian women, but not just that, go-getters, women who have had a track record of success, either in corporate or in a professional field. So I'm not interested in women who just want to play and hobby around. So I know where that woman is. And so because I've defined who she is, I know where to find her.
Okay. So that's process number 1. Step number 2.
So getting real clear on that is the whole breakthrough strategy to scale. The second is operations. So once you have the client facing part in that breakthrough scaling strategy, now it's time to get the back end good. And there's 3 main pillars.
I'm hearing the HR executive. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but you're right. Team is huge. And I talk about hiring team that each one drives revenue. They're not an expense. They are a revenue driver. And even your admin person can be that. And so I help my clients create KPIs, key performance indicators for them so that they're not just checking a box to get something done. What they're doing is in some form or fashion, either generating revenue or it's saving me time, saving the CEO and the executive team time. So there's the team within operations. There are the SOPs, right? Your standard operating procedures. And here's what I know for a lot of my clients. They're like, wait a minute, I don't even have SOPs. I said, yes, you do. It's just the way you do things. You just don't have it in writing. So let's get it in writing. And then the third part of that is automation. Like, what are the softwares that you already have that you may not be utilizing to their full, their full good?
Now, is that where are you bringing AI into that?
Yeah. Okay. That's a great question. I hate AI. And let me tell you why. Okay. I would never do AI. And I had a coach earlier this year and she's like, Judy, I go, nope, I don't even worry about it. Here's what I mean by that. Oh, it's so funny. I saw somebody, this is like a month ago. I saw a very well-reputed social media marketing person. And she was like, look at this amazing AI. I put in whatever the heck she put in. And look at this great stuff. I read it and it was general as crap. Here's the deal. We need to speak with specificity. Otherwise, we're just kind of screaming into the great abyss. We need.
I'm going to challenge you on that. Okay, yeah. I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. However, from my understanding, which is not even it's neophyte, it's an embryonic of AI, is it will be more specific when we learn how to prompt it better.
Wow. Okay, can I respond to that? I hear you.
Sure,
and sure. I am sure, I have no doubt that it will, quote unquote, get better. But nobody's going to be smarter than the brain the Lord put in my head.
Of course not.
Or the brain that He put in your head. And so here's the thing too. The computer doesn't have emotion. And what makes marketing really powerful are the words you use that evoke emotion.
Of course. The AI is teaching to the choir.
Yeah. And so the AI is only going to be as powerful as the data put into it. And in my estimation, that because that is a machine, and I'm not really, as you can tell, I'm not enough. I'm tech averse. I really don't like tech. I have a love-hate relationship. It's absolutely like in the back end of my business, making things smooth, but I just will never elevate that above, the human brain. And so I just don't even look at it. I don't even give it a thought.
Honestly, Judy, I think it's like, everybody was like, oh my God, the internet, Google, you Google a question, you get an answer. I think we're making much ado about nothing with the AI. I think it will just be another tool in our toolbox, but I think it will make huge changes to the work for many in a good way, but it will never replace us. Like automation in the factory, that was huge at the turn of the century with cars, right?
Right.
People are still working. So I think that it falls into the category of nobody likes change. Nobody wants to embrace change. And with it comes a lot of fear. That's my story.
But for me, I'm not afraid of it. To me, it's totally irrelevant.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So then the automation that you do is focused on what?
The automation more for me, especially, is in the nature of what happens in my email service provider. As I tag people coming in and as I take them through welcome sequences and things like that, that's a lot of the automation. And then ManyChat so that we can, interact with people even when we're sleeping, type in the word scale and we'll send you X, Y, or Z, and they type it in the DM and then they send it. So things like that is what I'm referring to in large part for the automation.
Okay. So you've been doing this work for how many years now?
Almost 8 years.
8 years. Okay. But during those 8 years, the world has really changed, right? Like, what was an influencer 10 years ago? I'm not even sure I know what an influencer is today, but besides that point, what has your experience been in terms of what you see that is different or has stayed the same as obstacles for women to empower themselves and to be successful?
Wow. I love this question as a women's advocate. I think that it's as old as the world that we women are very empathetic. We're givers and we always want to help. We want to help people. There's that, which is really great. Although that is also can be bad when we take care of everybody but ourselves. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's this idea of not feeling good enough. I'm not experienced enough. Oh, I'm not ready. Why not? Oh, well, because I've been an expert over here in corporate, but it'll take me some time in order to transition into entrepreneurship. Really? How long do you think that'll take? And why do you think it'll take long? No, not really. I mean, you already have the expertise. Now you just need to understand marketing. And it doesn't have to be online. You know what's so funny? I have to say this. The other day, someone called me an online business coach, and I'm like, that's not me. And what I mean by that is I meet most of my clients online. So yes, I guess technically I am, but I so value relationship, and I do quite a bit like in person that to me, I don't feel like online. You know what I mean?
When you say you do a lot in person, what do you mean? They fly to you, you fly to them, they're local. What do you mean?
Oh, I just mean networking events. Like I love people, especially I love women, and I want to meet them. And so I don't just count on the internet to meet people, although it's a beautiful thing.
Of course,
like podcasts and things, but even showing up locally. Like I just moved to this area. I immediately got plugged into my church. I'm immediately getting plugged into women's networking events because I think that I find that more enjoyable. And so that's what I mean. But answer to your question, I think that too many women, we are so self-deprecating. We can so easily look at another woman and say, wow, she's got it all together. She's so smart. She's so well-spoken. And somebody else can look at you and think the same thing. But somehow when we look in that mirror, that's not what we're seeing. So,
it's reminding me of my second book, Money Can Buy You Happiness, Secrets Women Need to Know to Get Paid What They're Worth. That teaches women to negotiate. It's reminding me so much of women have been, and we all need to look in the mirror and get what we want. We can play the blame game, but you can be a victim or a victor, right? But women have been socialized. Be the good girl. Don't be too aggressive. Like women are like, I can't ask for that. I'm like, why not? Well, they'll think I'm like, I don't know one man that thinks he's overpaid, and plenty of them are. So step up for what you think you're worth. And of course, it has to be reasonable and all that good stuff. And I feel that all plays into women coming out of the shadows, if you will. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. I love that. Can I elaborate on that?
Sure, please.
I totally think that is so true. Do you ever hear about that study where it's like men, if they want to get better in their career and there's a job posting.
They have one qualification, they apply for it.
Yeah. And women, they're like, I only have 85%. Can't apply. It's one of those things. But to being socialized as the good girl, as a lawyer in a man's world, again, my mom stayed home. Dad was a factory worker. They're both super smart, but they didn't go to college. They didn't ever experience corporate. And when I graduated law school, she goes, Judy, be careful. It's a man's world. I laughed at her. I thought she was ignorant. I get in there and I realized it's like, no matter how.
The man's world.
Yeah, exactly. No matter how assertive you are, the guy could be as assertive as you, and he's a hero and you're a BI. It's like, wait a minute, what? I mean, and then how about this one, healthcare? This was really good. When my kids were sick and I stayed home, I was bastardized by my firm as disloyal. Sure. Even though I was working at home, working at night, killing myself just to try to impress them, but it never did. My husband, when he stayed home, he was heralded as this wonderful father. And oh my goodness, it's like, wait, what? He stays home once to my 5.
So Judy, I have to tell you something funny. So my husband and I are watching this show now, Suits. It's called Suits.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. And this is Meghan Markle one way or the other. I didn't even know she was in it or whatever. But I'm watching it, and I work with a lot of law firms and attorneys. I am struck. It could be 1950s. All right, there's women attorneys, but they're all wearing these felt, skin-tight heels that I stopped wearing after my second kid, let alone my 4th. And they all look like they're gym rats, like they spend their life at the gym. And they're absolutely, unequivocally subservient to the men, even though the woman is the lead attorney at this stage of. So, there's a part of me that feels like as much as things have changed, and they have, there is still an element of, I wouldn't say they haven't changed at all, but we've come a long way, baby, but we still have a long way to go. So
Long
listen,
way to
Judy, I could talk to you forever, and I am going to meet you because we both found out we're in Florida. We're going to meet. We are
Hey!
actually going to meet. But I want to respect your time. So just have a couple more questions. The one is, what is the one song that you can't live without?
Gratitude by Brandon Lake.
Okay.
And I will tell you why. This summer, my kids and I and my husband were driving in the car.
By the way, how many kids?
I have 3 boys. My husband has 3 boys, but it was only my 3 boys with us.
Okay. Because I have 3 boys and a daughter. So
I
9 boys between the 3 of us. The 3 of us. Yeah.
That is awesome. So we were together on vacation here in this neck of the woods. And at the time we had no idea we were moving. Like that was a God thing. But I said to the boys, okay, who wants to tell me, what should we listen to? And my middle son said, Mom, listen to this. And it was such a beautiful song. So guys, watch it. Gratitude by Brandon Lake. And every time I hear it, it brings tears to my eyes because I remember that moment in the car when we were all just kind of hanging out. So my boys are very, very special to me. They are my favorite people on the earth.
Awesome, as they should be. All right. Another question is, what is the last book you've reread and why?
Has to be the Bible. It's so funny. I don't read a whole lot. I really don't. And that surprises people. I really don't. I spend a lot of time with the Lord. So I don't really, I'm looking at here in my closet, there's tons of books here and I've read them, but I haven't really reread them, especially since I've moved. So,
I know attorneys that say they never read a book for 10 years after law school because it just killed their desire to read.
So, a lot of reading we do. Yes.
Right? Okay. So Judy, tell the listeners, unabashedly promote yourself. Tell them where they can find you, where you'd like them to go look you up, how they could learn more about you, how they can work with you. Unabashedly promote yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that opportunity. So the best place to find me is probably at my website, judyweber.co. And the next place would be my podcast, which you can find on my website, Joyful Scaling Podcast. And I'm all over social at Judy Weber Co. at Judy Weber Co. And I'm the type of person, I love people, especially women. So reach out, connect, and I will be the one to personally get back to you. So, and by the way, I will tell you that what I do, I'm on mission to normalize miraculous results for my clients. Not just some results, but miraculous results. Do you know that only 1.7% of women hit 7 figures? No. I want to raise that. That's a ridiculous stat. We've got
I think that is a great note to end on. So make sure you heard her. Make sure you reach out to Judy if you or someone you care about could use miraculous results, and who can't? And Judy, thank you so much. This was a pleasure. And that concludes today's podcast episode of Dr. Patty Ann's podcast. Like I told you, I knew you would love this podcast. So like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until next time, be well. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.